So Futaba smells bad.
Alright, good episode. So, Mr.
Uh,
Flair guy is not here. He told me, Fither, he said, with giving me his last come on, he
Alright.
said, Fither, I never did Futaba's confidant. Find somebody who did. And then he passed on.
Oh, what a
And
shame.
so I had to find somebody to inherit his legacy. Futaba is not as bad as I was expecting her to be.
I was expecting the worst shit ever with Futaba. I was prepared to hate this character.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, she's fine. She's just kind of a dork. Like, she says "by Jove" at one point.
Uh-huh. She says Keck once during the fucking...
In my notes, that is one of the underlined bullet points, because that's very, very important.
Yeah.
She says "kek." I actually wonder if that's in, like, the original Japanese text, or if they did that
God,
in the
no.
localization.
There's no earthly way on this planet that the Japanese have any understanding of what Keck means.
Maybe there's, like, some equivalent, and they're like, yeah, we can make this "kek," and it'll work. And everyone will think we're hip. I don't dislike Futaba. I was definitely expecting to like her a lot less than I do. I can stand her, which is a lot better than most other characters of this archetype.
Yeah, like, all of the Persona 5 girls are better than what I imagine them to be. Like, Futaba is my least favorite, but I would still give her, like, a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, I like Futaba. She is my least favorite out of the main 4, but she's still good. And to Persona 5's credit, that's incredible.
Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment. She smells like Cheetos and ketchup, so I wouldn't date her, but I mean, you know, she's fine. I expected a lot worse, so... I mean, saying she's better than I expected doesn't mean she's good, but she's fine.
Yeah, I like her. I like her character decently enough. She's not quite the awful meme machine that I was expecting her to be. She's not really Ready Player One, the character, but...
Yeah, Futaba's character is very... I don't know the word. She has a lot of potential for good storytelling. I don't know, just the idea of a neat coming out of her shell is a pretty... I don't know, it's a used trope before, definitely, but it's one that I think Atlas could use pretty well.
Yeah, and, it's handled very well.
Yeah. Her confidant, in general, I would say, I don't know, it feels a bit redundant for like the first 4 ranks or so, because for about half of it, you're mostly babysitting her.
Yeah, I like that though. I think that's fun because I like the idea of there being kind of a confidant that deals with like social anxiety and shit like that, because we've pretty much all gone through that. We've all been in a place where we're like, I do not want to be in here. So seeing Futaba have her little freakouts about being in a public place kind of hits close to home.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't know, I think there are some confidants in Persona 5 that definitely feel like they didn't need to be 10 ranks, and I'm hesitant to say Futaba falls into that camp, but I don't know. It feels like a lot of fluff for a little while, and it just doesn't do it for me, but I don't mind it.
I think it's paced fine enough. I like the idea of the first half is kind of you dealing with Futaba, and then the second half is more like having to do with her friend.
Yeah, you end up finding out about her friend, and well, the whole confidant is based on this promise list she has, and they're like, do better in social situations, do better in crowds, I think is what it was. Learn about your generation, learn to function without the protagonist around, patch up her relationship with her friend from elementary school. Her friend, like, being abused, and the closest thing to hoard out that a elementary schooler can be in a video game. I feel like it kind of comes out of nowhere.
I think it fits. I think it's great. Well, it's not great, it's awful, but it's really good because I love confidants or social links that have to do with something that's like kind of fucked up. Like, I like the social link with the monk a lot because that has to do with like your like drinking problems and like dealing with a family that doesn't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think Persona 5 does really well, is that a lot of the confidants have kind of... There's like a grandness to it of the problem.
Yeah.
Like, Takemi's whole deal is that this evil doctor guy is like keeping her from distributing anti-bone cancer to these kids. Like, wow, that's fucked up.
Wow, this dude's a cunt.
Yeah, like genuinely evil human beings in some of these confidants.
My biggest gripe with it is that I feel like it sort of comes out of nowhere. I don't know, it feels very jarring. The rest of the confidants, and especially with these fucking awful human beings you end up dealing with, it feels like they sort of have a place in the story of the confidant, But Futaba's just like, yeah, I have this friend, and her parents hoard her out. That's cool.
Yeah, it could have been built up a little bit better. Like the one before, they could have alluded to it more
Yeah.
and then given the reveal.
It may be far-fetched to say, like, you go out and visit her friend, and she's like, no, don't talk to me. Because, and then you find out about her parents and stuff. I feel like if they had spent another rank before dropping that kind of bomb, I think it would have been better. But then you go to Mementos, and I think it's the only party member confidant where you actually have to go to Mementos.
You don't do it for Haru or Makoto.
I don't.
Yeah, I think it is actually. You don't do it for An, I know.
Yeah, I know you don't do it for Yusuke. I mean, she doesn't fight, so I guess, like, that might be why. I don't mind the forced Mementos trips, especially when they feel justified, especially this one. This one feels very justified, but then once the problem is resolved, it kind of goes back to just being a rather chill confidant. I feel like it sort of does a very quick turnaround into the very dark, and then it goes right back to just being kind of happy. And I don't particularly mind it, it just feels a bit jarring to me.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with the people in my Discord last week about how some people don't like how you change people's hearts in it because it makes it feel like, how do I put this? Like the character that the Confidant is about doesn't change of their own volition.
Yeah, I would definitely fall into that camp. I think especially for Kawakami, it's really aggravating because she tries to fix her problem herself and she gets just kicked back down. And it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the way I'm seeing it is the problems that are generally tackled in Persona 5 kind of require such a thing, like such drastic action. Like, most of the shit that happens in, like, Persona 3 and 4 really would not require changing somebody's heart. Because a lot of the time, those social links generally don't have antagonists. But Persona 5's confidants are full of antagonists like that. So I'm okay with the idea of, like, I guess from a logistical standpoint, you going and changing their heart.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Like, the character still develops of their own accord. It's just the problem is fixed by your character.
Yeah, and I think it does a good job of showing how necessary the Phantom Thieves really are. And I don't mind it from that perspective, and I do see why people I do see why people are fine with it, but to me, I would rather see the characters fix their own problem, like fucking Yoshida does. But in this instance, Futaba really couldn't have done anything, so it's okay. I don't mind it.
Yeah, like a lot of the time, it's just what could they have done about it. Is kind of where I'm coming from. Like, what's Takemi really gonna do? Hold up a sign outside and say, "Free the bone cancer medicine." Like,
yeah, it's probably
not
where
gonna
she'd
work.
end up, honestly.
Yeah.
Without the Phantom Thieves around. So I think the forced heart changing, it does a good job of showing how helpful the Phantom Thieves really are. And that's from that standpoint. Again, it's fine, but I'd like to see the characters sort of try and do things on their own. Yeah. Once you pat her head, then you have a nice heartfelt moment in your room. And then where you can choose to date her, but don't because then you'll catch her smelliness. And
it's like an STD.
So Jiro asks you not to. Don't do it.
Yeah. I cannot bring myself to date Futaba.
I
can't
agree.
do it.
Yeah, for many reasons. One, because I can't do that to Sojiro. I can't do that. He's a homie, and he says like, I wouldn't mind if you dated her, but please don't. So I can't do that to him. And plus, I just kind of see her as like a little sister, so.
Yeah, I agree. Like, she's too small, I think, is part of the problem.
Yeah,
like, she's so tiny.
She's little.
I love the interactions between Futaba and Yusuke, because Futaba is like this little fucking microorganism, and Yusuke is like 3 stories tall.
Yeah. Yeah, their interactions are cute. I like them. They're a nice little pair. Atlas does this thing where they like to very much hint at which characters will probably end up getting together.
I think they like to tease that, but they won't do it for obvious reasons.
They won't ever do it, but they'll hint at it. And then you go to her room where some funky shenanigans happen in her now cleaned room because it was a fucking dump before you got there.
Yeah, that place was fucking gross.
That's my main argument for Futaba smelling bad. Look at that place. She gives you what I would say are some of the more helpful abilities. Definitely.
Oh yeah, that shit is really good.
Yeah, especially the thing where she just I can't remember exactly what it does. I think she just instantly downs the enemies for you, like all of them, and lets you get a hold up. That's fucking absurd. But I think you can only do it like after Size Palace, right?
Oh yeah, like all of Futaba's shit is really good because she's so versatile. Like she offers defensive shit, offensive shit, like buffs.
Yeah, Risei sort of started the trend of navigators doing more than talking, and Futaba definitely follows that. She does most of what Risei did. She doesn't help with all-out attacks, but I mean, she does let you do them more, which is fun. She will also just randomly give you every buff and fully charge your whole team, which is stupid.
Oh yeah, like it's nonsense. Like she's so good. The abilities are crazy. Like Fuka, most of her shit was just like kind of passive stuff. I think she had like 1 or 2 active abilities, and one of them was literally just a gamble.
Yeah.
It was prayer or some shit, but it was like random effects. Like, dog, I'm not using this.
Yeah, Futaba's definitely very consistently always there and always helping, which is nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch to say that. At least like from a gameplay perspective, she's the best navigator.
Yeah,
in terms
absolutely.
of like the abilities she provides. I mean,
yeah, I can agree with that. She's generally speaking always helpful. Like even when you're just exploring Memento, she'll just map out the whole floor for you, which is very handy, especially if you put off doing it for the whole game. Yeah, my only real issue with the Confidant is that I feel like it's a bit of fluff, then it goes to something serious, and then it's right back to fluff, and I feel like it just generally speaking doesn't have a whole lot of focus. And that's not really a problem as much as it is a personal gripe, because I don't mind Confidants where you're just chilling out the whole time, but I think, especially for someone like Futaba, I think they could have done something a bit more interesting. Like, especially the events when you first get her, when, like, you spend a week with your whole party trying to get her out of her shell. I feel like some of those could have probably become parts of her Confidant, and they would have been fun.
Yeah, like something that I like about Futaba's is that Makoto and Mishima both pop up as like little appearances, and I like that. I like when other characters sort of show up in the Confidant.
Yeah, totally.
So I kind of wish there was more of that.
Yeah, I think if like the just that whole little week when you're trying to help her out of her shell, if they had repurposed that and then done something else with that week to show that you were helping her, and then use those events in her Confidant to show your whole party sort of helping Futaba out, it would have been pretty cool. And it also would have helped with her last point of trying to get better without the protagonist around. That's how I would have done it, though. That's just me personally.
Right, so allow me to explain the rating system, since you don't know anything about anything. It goes from bad to meh to good to great. Don't give anything stupid like a good plus or you will be shot.
I give her a meh plus.
A meh plus. That's interesting. I don't think we've had a meh plus on the program. I'll give her a good. A lot of the main characters of Confidants can tend to be like kind of funky, like Ryuji's. I thought that was a meh. Makoto is a meh. An's is pretty good. I like Yusuke's, and I like this one. But I don't find any of them are bad necessarily, other than Morgana's. That one just sucks. But
yeah, Morgana's is really bad.
Yeah, like I think this one's good. It's got it. You can follow the progression of it pretty fine, and it all makes sense, and there's no real plot holes to it. The pacing of it is maybe a little funky, and there's probably some like different shit they could have done, but I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it's
for me, I'll be honest, I didn't remember any of it except what happens to her friend before I rewatched it for this video.
Yeah, the friend shit is absolutely the most interesting part. Like, I like when they interact with Mishima and with Makoto. The rest of it, fucking hell, if I can, like, write up a script of what happens in it.
Yeah, it's kind of a haze for me. I know you babysit her, and I know her friend gets whored out by her parents. That's about what I remember. So yeah, she gets a meh plus. Not quite a good, but she's close. Now,
there's 2 different types of ratings. That's just for the Confidant. Now, how would you give Futaba as a character?
I'm gonna break through the limits you put me in. I'm gonna give her a smelly.
Is that more towards good or bad? I'm confused.
That's for you to decide.
All right, so it's just outside the little Venn diagram.
Yeah,
All right, sick. I will give her a good. I like Futaba more than I was expecting to.
Yeah, I did too. Jokes aside, I'll give her a good. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's good.
She's alright.
Yeah.